Okay, you know what this is going to be? This is going to be Tekking101 reacting to a One Piece chapter, alright? Because a lot of you still don't apparently get it. You still ask me all the time, like, oh man, you should review One Piece. You should review One Piece. And I made that video on my channel. In case you haven't seen it, it's right here, where I give, like, I think 3 or 4 reasons why I just cannot talk about that series on a weekly basis. You know, one of the main reasons, well, copyright for one thing, because, you know, if I can't throw any images up, not even on the fucking thumbnail, can't do anything like that, because Shueisha will just slap my hand with that and then suicide brick me upside the head. But the other main reason is that I am a massive One Piece fanboy, alright? Like, I find very few faults with that series at any given time. So every single chapter review of One Piece would be me up here being like, oh yeah, good job, Oda, 10 stars, fuck it, 12 stars, you go beyond, Oda. That would be me every chapter, and that would get old really freaking fast. But, you know, in case you want it, you still want it, I'll give it to you, alright? I'm no sketches, I'm not even doing the fucking law teching shit, we're not doing the green screen, we're not effing around with that, we're just me up here reacting to a One Piece chapter. Alright, so this will be chapter number 790, 90th chapter of the Dressrosa arc, and I'm keen to guess that he might just end this around chapter 800, and it's already the longest the arc in One Piece, already the longest one, so it probably doesn't end it in chapter 800, but this is chapter 790, where Luffy finally beats the fuck out of Doflamingo. That guy is down, alright? He is down by the end of this, alright? So, you know, it opens up, Luffy can barely stand up, he's just regained his haki. As I have figured, though, you know, he said, oh, give me 10 minutes, I'll be able to activate my haki again, and I'll be able to go gear forth and just deck out Doflamingo with one super attack. But I assumed, like, okay, even after 10 minutes, you know, he went from barely being able to stand up to now, you know, his body is literally shaking every time he's standing up. So he clearly hasn't regained all of his haki yet. And even Doflamingo even berates him throughout the chapter, like, oh, you're fully healed, huh? You thought you could do this after 10 minutes. So clearly, the 10-minute is just like the bare minimum. You know, like, Luffy could maybe go into gear forth for maybe like another couple of seconds, and then that would be it. So he probably needs at least an hour to fully recover after the effects of gear forth. But anyway, yeah, so he stops, you know, Rebecca from charging at Viola, and he stops that, and then Luffy just like, okay, let's continue our fight. So Doflamingo tries to take a shot at him. He uses like an awakened power, and Law is still there, and Law is actually still hidden from Doflamingo, which is a good thing. So Law kind of knows where Luffy is, but Doflamingo doesn't know where he is. So Law is just using his room ability because Luffy can't move for shit. So, you know, he's using shambles to kind of teleport Luffy around to make sure that, you know, Doflamingo doesn't just one-shot him. And, you know, they eventually, you know, Luffy eventually gets knocked back by Doflamingo's attack anyway, and he tries to use his haki to block it, but, you know, Luffy's haki's not really good at stopping, like, really sharp attacks, and that's what Doflamingo's attack was. It was like a sharpened, like he turns, like, his threads into wings with the spikes, and he just encloses them on Luffy. So Luffy gets hit by that, gets knocked into a wall, and then Doflamingo starts using his parasito, his a parasite thread. So he just, you know, asks, like, Luffy to start walking toward him, and, you know, Doflamingo's done with this kid. He just, you know what, I'm just gonna make you walk slowly toward me, and then I'm just gonna cut your fucking head off, or something like that. Well, then this is the exact moment Luffy decides to go gear forth, so he just goes right into it. It's not really big and theatrical this time, it's just like, boom, I am freaking Superman. So that breaks all the threads, and first person to actually break out of Doflamingo's parasite technique, so good for you, Luffy. So yeah, he breaks out of that, and then they move into an aerial battle. You know, Luffy starts using, I guess it's Geppo, I'm assuming that's what he can do now, but he can only do it while in gear forth because he can, like, jump up in the air, and then Doflamingo's like, oh, fuck, you think you can beat me in mid-air battles? I mean, Luffy might be able to walk on the air, but Doflamingo clearly has the advantage just because of his thread power. So they both go up into the air, and it's so freaking dramatic, it is amazing. So we get flashbacks back to when Luffy was training on Ruskaina with Rayleigh, and he was basically saying, like, you know, Luffy just got beaten the crap out of by some monster, we don't know which one it is, but Rayleigh's like, oh, you were so proud of your gear forth, you were so proud of that Kong gun of yours, the Kong gun being the initial attack he used on Doflamingo in his gear forth, but you still got the shit kicked out of you. So there was a monster on Ruskaina so badass, he was able to, according to Luffy, Kong gun didn't do shit. Like, he used Kong gun in gear forth, and there was a monster on Ruskaina that could just tank that shit. So I don't know if it was like the giant alligator or the lion or something we saw at the beginning of that chapter, because I couldn't imagine there was anything bigger on that island that Luffy, you know, we would have seen seen it if it was something that big. So it was probably like the gorilla or the lion or whatever. But anyway, yeah, Luffy's like, yeah, my Kong gun didn't do anything. So Rayleigh brings up, he's like, well, I have an idea of something you can do, and it's going to come with its risks. And Gear 4th kind of has its risks already, but here's an idea. So this technique Luffy uses was, apparently given the idea from Rayleigh. So they're in the air, and Luffy, he begins charging up his attack, and then, meanwhile, Doflamingo, he makes his spider web. So I'm assuming he's making like a spider web for defense, and then he starts up doing another technique called, I think, God Thread, and he's, planning on attacking Luffy. So I'm assuming the spider web is like a defensive, because he's figuring that what Luffy's going to do, because he's either going to do Kong Gun or the Colverian or something again. So he opens up the spider net for protection, and then he opens up this other technique, and he starts chanting, 16 pieces of ammunition. It kind of reminds me of the Iscariot chant from Hellsing. But anyway, yeah, he starts this ultimate technique called God's Thread. Luffy, what he does is he goes, and my best guess here is he goes into Gear 3rd while in Gear 4th. So Gear 4th is when he blows air into his muscles, increasing his muscle size, and Gear 3rd is when he just blows it into his bones, increasing his overall body size. So he does that. He makes a giant, blackened arm using Gear 4th and Gear 3rd combined together, and he, compresses his fist down into it, and then he uses his King Kong gun, and just boom! Like, Dressrosa is wrecked after that shit. Goes right through his God Throat, rips through his fucking spider net, slams into Doflamingo's face, and then it just hits the ground, and the entire city, the entire fucking island gets split in half. Like, that's how you fucking do that, Oda. I'm like, God, that was awesome! That was glorious! That was absolutely glorious, Luffy! Oh, you did not disappoint in that. You did not disappoint in that. I think everyone was expecting at the beginning here. I think everyone was expecting. Yeah, this is really interesting, isn't it? It's just me running around like a fucking lunatic. I think everyone was expecting that, okay, battle with Luffy and Doflamingo. A couple chapters ago, Luffy's like, okay, I've had enough of this shit. I'm going Gear 4th. Luffy's going to go Gear 4th. Bust out some techniques on Doflamingo and then just kick his ass with Gear 4th. But I think there's a good reason why Oda, didn't do that. There's a good reason why Oda didn't just have Luffy go Gear 4th, immediately deck out Doflamingo. There's a good reason why he had to show how strong Doflamingo is, because Oda is obviously pushing for Doflamingo. This is a guy that has been hinted in this series for over a fucking decade. That shit with him in Mocktown, him doing his power with Bellamy and Sarkis and shit, that was over a decade ago. He's been setting this guy up. That Oda has been sitting on Doflamingo on his sketchbook and, his bios and shit. He's like, oh, I can't wait till I get to this motherfucker because this is going to be so epic. So, he had to make it seem like even Luffy has to go to hell and back in order to beat this guy. I mean, I would love to say that Doflamingo is killed. I would like to, because Luffy doesn't usually kill his opponents. He usually just knocks them out or, renders them unable to battle or something like that. But this is one situation where either Luffy's gonna kill him or by accident, or after the battle, Law's gonna go up with his freaking sword and just like, yeah, I'm not fucking dealing with this shit anymore, and just stabs freaking Doflamingo right through the neck or something. Okay, this guy may very well die, and for good reason. All the shit he's pulled, his freaking, pure-blooded, I am the better being just because I was, born and to rule you all, Nazi Aryan race shit. But anyway, yeah. That's how the chapter ends, and the glasses get knocked off, so we're probably going to see whatever he was hiding under there. I mean, it's probably going to be pretty effed up. His eyes are going to be pretty mangled, probably, because that's when the flashback we saw him when he's tied up with his father and his brother being burned at the stake, essentially. Got his eyes all bound up, so his face is already, by all accounts, his face should be powder. He should be dead, but of course, that's not how this is going to go. He's probably going to, get up, and his face is going to be all mangled. His jaw's probably going to be shattered in like 18 different places, so by all accounts his face should be powder. His hockey might be strong enough to resist it, so it's not powder, but he should be dead. He should be fucking dead, but he's not going to be dead. This is One Piece. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching. That's what I would do, okay? That would be a review, okay? And that's not a review, guys, okay? Even if you were entertained by that, that's not a review. That's just the ravings of a lunatic, okay? That is, if you give me full reign, like Tekking, talk about One Piece the way you want to talk about One Piece, this is what you're signing up for, all right? Just the ravings of a lunatic. No images, no sketches, this is all it would be, guys. This is all it would be. All right, every week. And I think this would get boring really fucking quickly. All right, so I had to make it though. Because that was fabulous. That was amazing. Just King Kong go, boom, Dressrosa gone. All right, that's enough. You can make fun of me for a couple weeks, I think, or months with this material. I just flash forward into the future where I'm going for a job interview at a really fancy company or whatever, and they're like, oh man, yeah, Matt, you're ready to go. I mean, we love you, man. And they find this video on YouTube, and they're like, yeah, actually, we don't want you working for us. I don't think you're a right fit. Yeah. So in which case, hey, this is how I act at home, guys. This isn't how I have to act in the workplace. I only act like this. No, actually, no. This is pretty much how I act in the workplace. You were right for not hiring me. Okay, laters.